Senator Baucus, thanks for spending some time with us.
You bet, Mark.
Last night you sat down in joint session of Congress with the President. You heard him talk about his jobs bill. What did you like that he said?
I liked his energy. I liked the passion. I liked the commitment. I liked the exhortation, the call to arms. Basically saying, okay, everybody, let's get our act together here in Washington, D.C. People are fed up with Washington. I would say fed up with the President, fed up with the Congress, fed up with the news media in Washington, just fed up. And I liked his almost plea to, hey, let's work together and get the job done and focus on jobs.
Is there something that he said that maybe you didn't like?
No, not really. One thing gave me a little pause is my gosh, how are we going to pay for all this? And I'm on this committee that's supposed to reduce the debt by about $1.5 trillion over 10 years, and it looks like he's added to our challenge now by asking us to pay for some of these jobs initiatives. But you know, that's fine. We'll look at it. He'll give us his proposals in about a week, and we'll see what makes sense.
Last night when I was watching the speech by my computer also, there was a tweet that popped up, and it said exactly what you're talking about. Looks like the super committee's job just got $450 billion more difficult.
That's right. That's exactly what I thought. And I was sitting next to a guy named Dave Camp. Dave Camp is the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. We're good friends. I like him a lot. We had exactly the same reaction at the same time. But you know, we hired out to do the best we can given the difficult circumstances that we have, and so we'll do our best.
It seems like attitudes are more partisan and focused than ever. Given the fact that you're on this committee and the task that's assigned to you to reduce the deficit, how do you do that? How do you get something done? How do you get people to move together?
You know, this is probably the biggest challenge. It's difficult enough to try to get the numbers to match and to find the balance and to focus on jobs while we're also getting the debt reduced. I think you get people listening more than they have thus far of just by listening first to the other person's point of view. Just listen to that person and maybe ask a constructive question or two. Again, like, why do you think that? Gee, that might be interesting, and so forth. And after a while, trust begins a little bit. At least to start, people let their guard down a little bit. And they're willing to be a little more candid. And I think there's going to have to be an awful lot of that. And I think that's going to be my major challenge. It's what I'm doing already, talking to individual senators and House members on this committee, trying to just find out how we can develop that trust.
Last summer, they had a dedication session on the UM campus for the law school there. And at that time, I caught up with you and asked you about working with healthcare. You said it was the biggest challenge of your career.
Yeah.
Is this the new biggest challenge, being on this subcommittee?
Well, I don't know. There are a lot of challenges. I do think it would be wonderful if our committee could reach an agreement that's balanced and fair, because an agreement in and of itself, I think, would be a big relief. It'd be a bit of a boost to the country. People around the country think, oh, gee, those people back in Washington are kind of getting their act together. And that in of itself, I think, would be very helpful. So, and given, though, all the partisan politics that's existed up to this point, that is going to be a big challenge. But, you know, in life, you do the best you can with what you got, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing.
You said people are fed up. People are tired.
Yeah.
Things are difficult. I have a friend in the Bitterroot who's a builder. He's hanging on by his fingernails. He's a small businessman. What kind of message do you have for people like him that are just surviving barely? Well,
at one level, it's talk to us. I think I'll do a better job. All of us on this committee will do a better job the more we're listening to people in our home state. But that means people in our home state also have to let us know what's on their mind. So at one level, the builder and the Bitterroot or whomever, just kind of let us know what they're thinking, and that all helps. Second, I can just say that at least I'm going to do my very best to focus on getting an agreement, and also where there's some stimulus for some jobs, and also to do what I can to help develop confidence, and that is address the unpredictability that a lot of people have. Businessmen just don't know what to do. They don't know whether to invest or not, whether to hire. People aren't buying things, partly because they can't. They got to pay off their debt, but they also are kind of pulling their horns a little bit. All I can only say is I'm going to do the very best I can to try to help keep things even and Steven and try to solve this debt problem. Because if we do begin to solve it, and including some tax reform, because taxes are really way out of kilter in this country. Again, an agreement will, I think, in of itself help people have a little more confidence, and that in of itself is going to help our economy.
So when I found out that I'd have the opportunity to sit down with you, I threw it out there on my Facebook page. Hey, Senator Baucus is coming in. What kind of questions should I ask him?
Good.
There were a number of them that dealt with the same sort of issue, and that was, we continue to borrow and spend and borrow and spend. When do we stop?
That's the whole point of this exercise. We have about $14 trillion national debt, trillion. That's a pretty big number. We're as high as other countries. We're not, our debt is, in fact, higher than most other countries. There's only one way to address this problem. That's the way we address it in our households and our businesses. You got to stop spending, you got to cut some costs, you got to do it in a balanced way, you got to do it in a solid way. And the whole point of this committee I'm on is to try to figure out a way to begin to go down that road. We've already cut about $1 trillion. We're supposed to cut 4, and we're supposed to cut about 1.5 trillion more. So it just in a balanced way, it's across the board, everybody's in this together. It's going to mean some spending cuts, but also it's going to have to include some revenue. I think some people in our country who are pretty well off, aren't paying their fair share, and it's going to. So the solution is going to have to be balanced. But that's what we have to do: is get that thing, start to whittle that down by at least $1.5 trillion by the end of this year.
One of the other comments that was sent that said something to the effect of, people who don't have jobs have been receiving unemployment or may continue to receive unemployment for 99 weeks.
Right.
It kind of ties into the whole borrow and spend thing. When do we stop? How do we change these trends that just continue? Do we just let them extend and then we just go deeper in the hole? How do we stop that?
Well, it really comes down to the people in our country. What do Americans really want? I think Americans, and Montanans especially, would like us to help figure out some ways to get the right conditions for more jobs, but at the same time, pretty quickly, start to get this budget deficit down. But it's up to the people. If American people tell us, oh, spend, 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 Congress will do that. If Americans tell us, oh, start cutting the deficit, do more of that, we'll start doing more of that. We'll start cutting the deficit down. Because after all, I'm just a hired hand. I'm just the employee. Montanans are my employers. They're the people I work for. Best bosses in the world, I might add. But and still, it's my job to, with the trust that's been entitled to me, the privilege I have in representing folks, is do what I can given the facts, with the facts as I see them. But we just, there's no magic here. We just have to work together to do it. And the real effort is to just get us working together back there, listening to each other, being constructive, and just reminding all ourselves that most Americans want us to get a solution that's perceived as fair, rather than being too partisan one way or the other. And that's we just have to keep reminding ourselves of.
So as you come to Missoula and as you go to different towns around the state, and you hear different things, what are you telling people right now? Because I'm sure you're getting an earful everywhere you go.
Yeah.
How can you ease some concern right now?
Actually, it's very interesting. Since I've had this job, I feel very privileged to have it. Never have I experienced a time when so many people have walked up to me in such a short period of time with exactly the same message. And what is it? It's, gee, Max, we're sure glad you're on that committee, but boy, we feel sorry for you. That's such a big, difficult job you're undertaking. You must be a masochist, but we're sure glad that you're there, not us. People want this resolved. That's the basic message I'm hearing. Just basically they're saying, Max, you kind of know what's going on back there, at least I hope you do, and you do your very best, work for us in a solid, balanced way, get this thing under control, and figure out a way to get more jobs, and just do the very best you can. And that's what I'm doing. And to help accomplish that, I'm going to have all kinds of town meetings and town meetings and very frequent sessions with the Montana press, and just keep in contact as much as I possibly can, so that way I'll know even better what's on people's minds. But I got a pretty good idea what's on people's minds right now. Anyway, just get it done. Just do it in a fair, balanced way.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
You bet, Mark.
And good luck.
Good luck to us all. We're in this together.